Welcome to the Wired for Success podcast, your show for ambitious, mission-driven entrepreneurs who want to build million-dollar businesses without sacrificing their health, relationships, or happiness, who understand that in order to build their empire, they need a solid foundation, and that the more they are thriving, the more their business is thriving too. This show brings you the very best from science, self-development, and entrepreneurship to set you up for sustainable success. Hi, I'm Claudia Garbutt, the scientist turned mindset and high-performance coach for entrepreneurs, and I help you get wired for success. Now, before we dive into today's episode, I want to share something that has been an absolute game changer for me lately. As you might know, all your behavior is driven by two main components, your physiology and your psychology. So if your body is run down because you eat crappy food, you don't exercise, and you don't sleep, well, you can't really expect to deliver your best work. So that's the physiology part. Think of it as the engine that enables your work. If you don't take good care of that engine, it will break down eventually. On the other hand, even if you eat a healthy diet and you exercise 5 times a week, but you're constantly feeling anxious, overwhelmed, and you just can't break free from your negative thought spirals, again, you won't be able to deliver your best work. That's the psychology part of the equation. So whenever you're trying to create a profound shift in your state or a lasting change in your behavior, you will want to look at those two main components and figure out how to nudge them in the right direction. Both parts are essential and they are linked by intricate feedback loops, so you want to make sure you pay attention to both parts. But sometimes, one of them is just so much easier to nudge in the direction that you want it to go, and it therefore makes sense to start there. So let me illustrate what I mean by giving you an example. You know those days when you just can't seem to get into the groove? You're trying to focus, you're trying to be productive, but something is just not clicking. Yeah, I've been there too. A couple of months ago, I noticed that my energy levels were kind of low and I had a hard time concentrating during the day. And I wasn't quite sure what was going on. I hadn't really made any big changes to my routines. And I thought, well, it might just be a winter thing induced by, not enough sunlight or something. And funnily enough, that was about the time when the guys from Magic Mind reached out to me because they were interested in a collaboration. Now, if you run a top podcast, you get lots of emails from people who want something from you. So in the beginning, I was a little standoffish. I mean, who are those guys? To be honest, I hadn't heard of Magic Mind before. So I did a little digging and discovered that Magic Mind is the world's first productivity drink. And it has acquired quite a big following and lots of amazing testimonials from happy customers. Well, next, I had a look at the ingredients. And it sounded really good. A great mix of ingredients that support your energy metabolism and ingredients that help your body reduce stress. What can I say? It looked legit. And I mean, Joe Rogan had it on his podcast and the Kardashians are drinking it. You can't ask for more in terms of credibility, right? So the fact that they were interested in a collaboration was kind of flattering, but still, I hadn't tried their product for myself and I wasn't going to promote something that I hadn't tried myself. Since they got me curious, I agreed to test the product to see what I think about it. Now, you can either drink it alongside your morning coffee or you replace your morning coffee with it. I decided to drink it alongside my morning cup of joe. Now, call me a skeptic, but despite the hype, I didn't really expect to notice much. What I noticed pretty quickly, though, was the promised increase in energy level, which was awesome, especially since it wasn't like the coffee high that often makes me jittery and nervous because I'm quite sensitive to caffeine. It was more of a longer lasting energy boost without the caffeine crash. And after drinking it every morning for 4 days, I noticed an additional benefit. I felt alert, but very calm at the same time. Now that's awesome, right? I had an important interview that day and a lot of stressful things going on in my personal life, things that had me worried that I would not be able to focus and concentrate during the interview. But to my surprise, I was able to stay calm and focused, and the interview went really, really well. Phew! It's like my mind is clearer, sharper, and I'm ready to tackle whatever the day throws at me. So that's awesome. And honestly, being alert and calm is the best state you can be in if you would like to increase your productivity. That's the sweet spot of nervous system activation that you want to aim for. because this is where the magic happens, when you have enough energy and you can focus it. Because that's very important too, right? If you have a ton of energy, but you can't focus that energy, then you're just bouncing all over the place like a toddler on a sugar high. Now, what's the magic inside this little magic shot, you might ask? Well, let me break it down for you. So, Magic Mind is packed with all natural ingredients sourced from the best suppliers out there. We're talking about matcha for extended release caffeine, Bacopa monnieri for improved attention span and memory, ashwagandha for reduced stress and anxiety, and so much more. It's like a powerhouse of goodness in every sip. So that clearly was a case where it was easier to shift my state in the desired direction by going down the physiology route. And all it took was the addition of a delicious shot to my morning routine. Don't you just love those easy fixes? I wouldn't be sharing this with you if I didn't truly believe in this product. Magic Mind has been a game changer for me, and I know it can do the same for you. Whether you're a busy parent, an entrepreneur, or just someone looking to boost their productivity, Magic Mind has got you covered. I'm super proud that they decided to partner with me and sponsor this episode. If you want to experience the magic for yourself, you can get it at magicmind.com/wiredfs. That's magicmind.com/WIREDFS. And if you use the code WIREDFS20, again, that's WIREDFS20, you can get up to 56% off your first subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase. Trust me, it's worth it. And by the way, if you want to make the most out of this discount code, get the 30-pack because it's the best value. They're also one of the few companies with a 100% money-back guarantee, no questions asked. There's really no risk. So if you don't like it, they will just refund in 3 to 4 hours. Now, without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another short and sweet Wired for Success solo episode. The other day, I overheard my son saying, "I'm so stupid," when something didn't go the way he planned. And as a mom and coach, this really stinks. I don't want him to talk to himself in that way. So I sat down with him and we talked about that mean inner voice and how we need to pay attention to our inner dialogue. After all, who wants to have a mean bully living inside of them, right? And I know that he's certainly not the only one struggling with a mean inner critic. So today we are going to talk about transforming that inner voice, and I'll give you a simple exercise to help you raise your awareness. Especially when you're an ambitious perfectionist coming from a high-pressure background, you'll probably find that you have a very harsh inner critic. One that tells you how much you suck all the time, that always points out all the ways you're not measuring up to your own or someone else's expectations. That mean inner critic is judging your performance all the time. It points out all the frustrations, disappointments, and disapproval. Nothing is ever good enough. You could always have done just a little bit better. You achieve 99% of your goals, and instead of feeling proud, you obsess about that 1% you didn't achieve. Sound familiar? That inner voice tells you what you should and shouldn't be doing, what results you should get, what you should feel, and so on. It says things like, "Of course you didn't get the job, you're too dumb." Or it asks questions like, "What's wrong with you? Why did you do this?" Listening to that negative self-talk day in and day out is demotivating, discouraging, and paralyzing. You might start to feel like, what's the point of doing anything if I can't do anything right? Or maybe you're not entirely aware of that nagging voice inside your head. You just know that you tend to beat yourself up all the time and you feel a lot of guilt and shame for all your perceived shortcomings. And what does feeling ashamed make you do? It makes you want to hide and disappear, right? Because when you feel ashamed and unworthy, you disconnect from the outside world and you try to become invisible. You don't want any attention because you don't want people to see your flaws and reject you. Being invisible and blending in makes you feel safe, whereas being in the spotlight and standing out is terrifying to you. That's what we often do when we feel something is not safe. We avoid these situations and we withdraw in an attempt to comfort and soothe ourselves. But the more we allow this to happen, the smaller we get and the smaller our world gets when fear takes over. At some point, you're making all your decisions based on avoidance and fear instead of coming from a place of curiosity, joy, and abundance. I know, because this happened to me too. It doesn't happen overnight though. It's a slow process that you might not even be aware of. Little by little, listening to that mean inner critic erodes your confidence and steals your joy. So what I'd like to start with today is an awareness exercise, because you've heard me say over and over again, awareness is always the first step toward changing anything. So if you're up for it, get your pen and a piece of paper and let's get started. Doing this exercise in writing works better, but if you're on the go, feel free to do the exercise in your head instead. Now, when you're ready, I'd like you to journal and or think about the following question. What situations make you feel frustrated, inadequate, incompetent, ashamed, or hopeless? Now, write down all the situations that immediately come to mind. It can be specific singular events, like something that happened at a certain party, for instance, or things that you have to deal with on a regular basis, like talking to your partner or doing sales calls. Now, in your mind, pick one of the scenarios that you just wrote down and put yourself mentally into that situation. What do you feel? Try to describe your feelings as accurately as possible. Is it shame, guilt, frustration, or something else that's coming up for you? Just write it down. Now listen for that inner voice. What is it saying that triggers those feelings? Write down that conversation you're having with that mean voice inside your head. I know listening to that harsh inner critic can be really upsetting, and it might feel like you're your own worst enemy because the way you're talking to yourself is so much worse than you would ever talk to anyone else. And you wouldn't take that much crap from anyone else either, right? So there's something about that mean voice that we usually don't see though. It is not there to bring us down. In fact, it tries to motivate us in a weird, misguided way. It just tries to help us stay safe. Now, when you listen closely enough, there's a loving message hidden behind all the mocking and criticizing. To understand this, I'd like you to think about the way your parents talk to you, or even how you talk to your own kids sometimes. Let's say they're doing something stupid and dangerous, like running right in front of a car to pick up a ball that had rolled onto the street. Now, in your panic, you might yell at them and say things like, "Are you crazy? What's wrong with you? You're not a baby anymore. You should have known how dangerous this was. Now go inside and think about what you just did and what could have happened to you." So on the outside, those aren't very nice things to say, but you're not saying them to harm your kids, right? You're saying them to protect them and keep them safe. You're using guilt and shame to protect them from doing something dangerous. Does that make sense? And your inner critic tries to use that exact same logic sometimes. The real message behind the harsh outbursts is, "I love you so much and I don't want you to get hurt in any way." The problem is that this real message is hidden between the lines. It's unspoken and thus easily missed. So if we deconstruct the original message, we'd find more hidden layers. Number one, anger. Your kid didn't pay attention to his or her surroundings. Second one is fear. You're afraid of losing your kid or your kid getting hurt. Number three, love. You can't bear the thought of your kid getting hurt or killed. You love them so much that you wouldn't know what to do without them. And all you want for them is to be happy and healthy and to have the best this world has to offer. Number four, specific request. Please pay more attention to your surroundings. Stop and look for cars before you run onto the street. Do you see that the original message only communicated half of the truth? It communicated anger and fear without the love and the specific request. And that's exactly the way your inner critic talks to you too. And you can deconstruct it in the same way. Whenever you start to notice that mean voice in your head, stop and pause for a moment. Interrupt your inner critic and say, "Thank you for wanting to take care of me. Let me ask you a few questions to get to the root of the problem, okay?" Number one, what is it that you're afraid of? And then just listen to your critic's answer. The second question, what is it specifically that you would like me to change and why? How is changing this going to serve me? Again, listen to understand that this is coming from a place of love and take some notes. Then thank your inner critic again for caring about your well-being and release that inner tension. It's incredible how much this simple exercise can change your relationship with your inner critic. After all it wants is to get heard, but it wants the real message to get heard, not just the surface one. It just didn't know how to communicate the real important message in a way that you would understand. So it got louder and meaner and very angry instead of simply changing its communication style. That's the thing with our inner programming. Until we become aware of what it is and what is not working, we cannot change it. So if yelling mean things is the only way of communicating you have developed, then you're stuck until you learn how to communicate differently, right? And that's exactly what you can do now. You can teach your inner critic a few new tricks and teach it how to communicate in a more supportive way. I hope this helped. Let me know what you think and how you go with it. Now, I hope you all have a wonderful week and talk soon. Take care. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Wired for Success podcast. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. That's a fantastic, easy, and zero-cost way to help the show grow. Just use the link in the show notes and make my day. Want more? For quick, actionable tips and insights to guided meditations and a side of biohacking, join my inner circle and get access to exclusive subscriber-only content. Again, just use the link in the show notes to join the tribe. Thank you for your support and see you on the other side. Take care and talk soon. Bye.